You start coughing like crazy now.
It's all right. So we're live. I'm just going to wait for a few people to stream in, Matt, and fire up my LinkedIn page over here also at the same time while we're doing this. Let me. So welcome to Lunch with Lumbermen with Matt Lehman from Lehman's Lumber Guard and Ashley from Materials Exchange. We're the only B2B e-commerce site where you can click buy, click sell, dynamically move your prices around. As a buyer, you see what it is at your mill or at your distribution location. As a seller, you see what the solution is delivered to you. You can buy straight truckloads or carloads of lumber or sell straight truckloads or carloads of lumber. You are welcome to the Materials Exchange platform. So
You read that, didn't you?
I didn't.
You didn't? That was strictly off the cuff.
That's off the cuff, man. That's
nicely done.
That's why I took the Dale Carnegie course, man.
Yeah. If there's a way I can show you how to make a lot of money, you'd want to know about it, wouldn't you?
I would, man. And I'd show you how to make more, right? So let's go ahead and bring this up. Okay, so we're live. There we go. Please tell us where you're from. Ask questions anytime you want to. And we like to make this a participation where people can ask questions, join in the scrum, and talk to us. There we go. So let's see if mine is reading. And during this, we're going to start posting some prices. I think you asked me how we were doing today. Had some sales, buys, and sells today. A lot of product up. A lot of OSB sitting down in Texas that we're moving. I mean, it's OSB is the most homogenous product out there, right? Whether it's sitting at a home center on a shelf or sitting in 2 Montana at a retail lumber yard, it pretty much is the same thing when you're talking commodity board, right? So it makes sense that is the simplest thing to buy and sell on our platform. And I think you and I talked last week how we ship stuff to the Midwest from all over, coast to coast, Gulf to Midwest, everywhere. It was amazing.
Yeah, OSB is probably the only thing that if you go work down the chain of people that, I guess the food chain, supply chain, that's the one thing that everybody from like even your local Ace Hardware will buy full bundles of and possibly full truckloads of because it's just a one SKU kind of item. But yeah, that really is homogenous is a great word for that.
Yeah, I mean, and a buddy of mine said that the other day in a conversation. I've hijacked that word. I'm going to probably use it. My wife says when I hear big words, I use them too many times until I get it worn out, right? So,
yeah, just don't talk about your wife being homogenous.
That's a good point.
Might get you in a little trouble.
Hopefully she's not watching the show. So, hey, look, at one thing I wanted to show too is I'm going to bring up a link to register on our YouTube and our LinkedIn channel live. You just click on this, and I've always wanted to do this where I can say, click down here.
And, I think your YouTube link is on your website, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. That's the registration. So Shane just brought up the registration. That's where you come and register for Materials Exchange. Do we have a YouTube link too, Shane?
You got a link for the show.
Yeah, we're going to bring up a YouTube link and a LinkedIn link because, man, I got to tell you, Matt, we're getting calls from Egypt, Europe, all kinds of people that are hitting our YouTube channels and calling us and asking us about, we had a bunch of people from Brazil call us and ask us about listing some stuff. So here, if you click on this link, that's the YouTube channel link. You can click on that to register anytime you want to. So let's talk a little bit about what you and I were talking about, Matt, before we went live here. You kind of we're talking about the stats, and if somebody's sitting there and they want to get their brain around what's going on, what has happened every month over the past X amount of years, you kind of just finished noodling on that. Talk to me about it. What did you come up with?
It seems like the most common question I've gotten is a guy just randomly called the other day, said, is Southern Yellow Pine topping? And I said, really? You even asked me, is topping? I said, what kind of order file do you have? How much more can you sell? How much inventory do you have? And all of his questions led to, there's no way it's topping. It's just, he's still short supply. Order bills have order files. He can sell out as far as he wanted to. He doesn't have, he's basically short the market. But I went to, back in the beginning of November, I think I shared a stat with you that for 90% of the time over the past 21 years, the period from the beginning of November to the end of February, the market finished higher 90% of the time. And that is the highest probability of the market moving higher of any period of the year other than the month of January, which moves higher 91% of the time. And I'm sorry, it's February. January is 86% of the time, 91% is for February. But after that, the statistics go, it's kind of like this. March is 50% either higher or lower, so it's a toss up. Only 45% for April, May, June, 36% in July, 41% in August, 50% September, 43% October, and then you get back to 77% again in November. The point is, there's really only one really good high probability time to be speculatively long this market to build inventory, and that's from November through February. And from right now, people are wondering, what should I do now? Because December and November were such better, stellar months for selling than they expected. A lot of people have depleted inventories and need to buy again just to fill in through the end of February, middle of March. Statistically speaking, the market finishes higher 86% of the time in January, 91% of the time in February. So yes, even though prices are as high as they are and they've gone up as much as they have, the odds still say that the market's going to be higher at the end of February than it is right now. And the way you want to position that is you don't want to be running out of wood the end of February. You want to be running out of wood the middle of March, so you can be catching kind of the downswing. That doesn't mean the market's going to peak that time. It just means that the odds of the market going higher after February dramatically decrease.
Yeah, no doubt. I was talking to a few people. Well, Matt and Charles were on the call yesterday, filling in Greg and Charles, and we did the pros and cons. I mean, like Greg had a good point. Like we could be topping now, but timing is everything. Who knows, right? I mean, markets can stay in motion for a lot longer than you think they can, right?
Well, and the thing is, everybody tries to listen to what they have. I was listening to a guy that does futures this morning. He was giving me all the reasons why the market's going to top, and I just said you can't really push the rope, But there's a whole lot of reasons why. I want to back up. Everybody talks their position. The first thing I want to say to somebody who says like the market's falling as well, are you underbought or overbought? So that inspired me to do a survey this morning. I sent out 1,000 emails to lumber buyers only. And I said, just add one simple question. Given the market conditions today, would you say you're either adequately bought, underbought, or overbought? And out of the first 200 replies, I've got about 200 of them back. There was one person, one trust plan that said he was overbought. Everybody else said adequately bought, assuming my stuff gets here on time, or underbought. So the market will not top until it gets overbought.
Yeah. One thing that you and I have learned from a lot of these big markets, no buyer ever thinks they have enough money when the market's moving higher, right? Or have enough
and they always have too much when it's over.
Yeah, that's it. But no, great points. But hey, I wanted to click over to your just say no in a gentle way under another dimension. What was your little summary, the little strategy there?
Well, I was thinking that's kind of a purchasing base for buying and selling. That for the last, it's funny you should mention Dale Carnegie, because back in the 80s or so, when Dale Carnegie had his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the lines in the book was, if there was a way I could show you how to make a lot of money, you'd want to know about it, wouldn't you? So the whole answer was leading people to say yes, so that you say, how's your day? Is your family good? Did your kid win his baseball game? Is it sunny there? Are you selling well, or whatever? You try to lead people into saying yes answers, and to lead them when it gets time to say, well, would you buy this car 2x4s for $960? The thought was, the marketing strategy was, you get in the habit of saying yes, or in a sequence or a scenario of just saying yes over and over and over again. You just drop in yes for buying that car of lumber. But that's changed now. Everybody's suspected. You get a phone call now from somebody you don't know, and you go like, well, here comes the yes questions. Is this Matt Lehman? Is this Ashley Beckel? Do you live at blah, blah, blah? And you answer questions of yes a couple times, but you get defensive about that. So the new theory is to try to phrase your questions where people say no, like instead of saying, is 10 o'clock tomorrow a good time that we can talk? And the person on the other end wants to say, they really want to say no because they want to be in charge. So say, rather than saying, can we talk tomorrow at 10 o'clock tomorrow, you say, is 10 o'clock tomorrow a bad time for us to have a phone call? So there's a habit of saying no. If they want to say no, then they can say no, that is a good time for us to talk. So that's just a strategy of getting out of that old habit of trying to lead people to say yes and using no for a backdoor way to get an order.
So I'm gonna have I'm gonna have Shane bring up the link to click to register again for Materials Exchange, just so you see it. We had a lot of logins today, Matt. One of the interesting things we're doing here, and if there you go, click down there to register for Materials Exchange and look at the real-time, dynamic, transparent pricing, so you don't have to go through 5 people to find what the number is, even if you're not buying stuff. Right? It's free to look at numbers on here. You only pay a flat fee if you buy something or sell something. My gosh, that's such a good deal. This should be on the Home Shopping Network, right? I probably would be sold out in like 5
Can I
seconds.
share a stat? I want to share that stat that you shared with me this morning. There were, without divulging too much, but there was 35 bids and 106 offers. And if people are talking about having supply problems, here's probably the only place in the country right now that you can go and find more people looking to sell something than to buy something. It just seems like the sellers are really catching on to the platform more than the buyers, and it's a great place if just to look. It doesn't, like you said, it doesn't cost you anything to look. It's certainly not going to hurt you to ask for another quote from someone else and discover those cross market or back market possibilities that you wouldn't even think of.
Right, exactly. No, that's a good point. One of the Dale Carnegie books I like, though, too, is that you were mentioning was how to stop worrying and start living. I don't know if you ever read that one too. That's a good one.
No, but that's a great idea.
It's what's his famous thing is interest or worry is
Action, Ada, attention, interest, attention, interest, desire, action, close, something like that.
There you go. There you go. So let's bring up your 12-month forecast real quick on the bottom here. Since we had a short week or holiday week last week, we got the 3-pager. Talk to me a little bit about this chart, what we're seeing. It's really starting to make that move. I like how you highlighted the January chaos. Talk to me a little bit about that. That probably falls into a little bit what we were talking about under the stat.
It's exactly what's happening right now. People, you can tell that people are starting to talk about the market findings. Like I heard yesterday, a lot of times from a lot of people, the reloads were offering a lot of wood. Well, of course they are. They've got it in and they've got it on the ground, and the market's up $500. Of course they're going to offer it. It doesn't mean, and the other side of that is to believe or expect that there's not a big old pile of unsold wood that's in reloads that's not spoken for, because if it was bought in November or December, prices are up $500 for it. There's no reason for people to be sitting on inventory in reloads that's unsold when it's easy to sell it. So a lot of the responses I got today from the survey were, I'm adequately bought if I can get it. So logistics still is the primary disruptor to the market. I think people have, I know from just a survey that people have adequate amount of lumber bought, plant panels bought. They're expecting they're going to have some sort of delay. So I don't see this market getting in an overbought position anytime real soon. But the January chaos just comes from people stopping after they bought especially in a market like this when it's been so rocket fire hot. You just stop for a minute and go, well, let's see what I've got. Let me see how much I've got bought, how much have I got sold. What are my pending orders? What am I quoting? Where are things laying? And meanwhile, mills are still making lumber. Wholesalers are getting car numbers and trucks ready. And they need to sell. And the market tends to get a little sloppy the second and third week of January, and then we pick up and go higher again.
Yep, no doubt, Matt. One interesting thing I heard from a buyer this week down in the southern market. He's usually a big carload buyer. So just to add to what you said I talked with Greg and Charles the other day. One thing I'm seeing starting to show up, getting listed. So plywood is starting to show up. That was gone for like 3 weeks. You couldn't find a lot of that. But also a big carload buyer in the South said, I usually buy cars, but there's so much wood around me in reloads right now, and distribution is looking to move it to me. I'm not buying as many cars because I'm having an easy time buying trucks, right? So some sections have a lot of wood sitting there, right?
Yeah. And some of those people that have that wood that they're selling, they bought that wood for jobs that they already sold, and they see the big chance for profit right now, so they're selling it. So basically what they're doing, they're setting themselves up to be short for projects that they've already sold and bought for, and they're spinning that wood off now, and they're gonna need to buy it again later.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, this is kind of an abbreviated week a little bit. Do you got anything else you want to talk about? If not, we'll I'll get back to the exchange here. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you, I've had a lot of people that wanted to start understanding the platform, and they want to use it, but they're not as tech savvy. So what we created here now is called the order desk, right? I literally sit here, and some of them will want to put their buys and sells in through me and work them through me until they figure out how to use it. And it works great. So now we have a bunch of sellers. I get out in the morning and throw up 100 trucks and cars for them, and a bunch of buyers that want to look at stuff while they get used to using it. So we call that the order desk and the white glove service, right? And
it'd be cool. Really, could you do that live? Could you do that streaming where people could see you, talk to you, and like we're doing this and place orders? Does it get kind of hectic to do that way?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I do it while I'm sitting here, then I go back and forth, and if they want to change their price and move it around, I change it for them. But by the whole purpose of it is I'm trying to show them how to do it too. But I want them to wade into the water slowly so they're comfortable doing it. Like one guy was skiing last week out west, and he was texting me from the ski hill changing prices, and he traded like 20 trucks on here.
On the slopes?
Yeah, and here's the great thing. This guy was looking at hiring some new people. And the fact that he was able to do this with just going back and forth through our order desk, he's like rethinking that, right? As far as so, which is kind of cool, I think, and that's the reason why Materials Exchange it helps people the way they currently do something expand their business, right?
Yeah, and even have more vacation in doing it. You see more time on the slopes and less people.
Absolutely, and everybody knows how hard it is to hire good people, and you have to train them and all that. You can come on Materials Exchange as one buyer or one seller and be like your 10 people digitally, right? You can have a footprint. I mean, this is one where the big footprint shows up in the swamp, and it's a real one, right?
Yeah, I remember last week you said we did something first time live ever. We did a live transaction while the show was going live.
Yeah.
And something that's happening now that hasn't happened probably in the last month is you guys are still making offers of numbers. I can see what Mike's saying and Bob's saying, and you're saying, and I don't know if everybody can see the comments, but there's still lumber's transacting or bids and offers. The market doesn't stop just because the show's going on. So you guys if you get a chance, just if you're not doing it, just drop in and take a look and see what's happening. There's a lot of good information, even if you just to catch the momentum of the market it's fun to watch. It's kind of like watching the stock market and think, well, maybe I'll dabble with an offer. And
yeah, let's bring the registration up one more time, Shane, so you can see where our to register for Materials Exchange. Like I said, I had a call from a guy yesterday, and he wanted to get on. He goes, well, I assume that you're a pay for service. I'm like, no, that's the beautiful thing. You can get on Materials Exchange and register for free, and we'll get you set up, and you can be a buyer or a seller and look at the solution and look at pricing delivered to you. And they almost don't believe you when you say that, right? Because what they're used to is talking to people for the last 20 years that create a moat where they don't want people to look at that kind of stuff. But everybody wins in this. If you are on either side of that moat, you can become, a bigger warrior, so to speak. And that's what technology does for people.
And also, I don't want you guys to think that actually making a shameless plug for Materials Exchange, but this is a Materials Exchange business. And the purpose for us being here today is to encourage you and give you direction in which way you should go in the market. And all I want to do today is give you the encouragement and confidence that if you need to buy some things between now to cover your needs through the middle of March, it's statistically a good time still to do it.
Well, look, as far as the shameless plug, we want you to come on and look at our numbers and use our numbers to make yourself better from information, right? Growing up in a small lumber yard, the only way my dad knew what was going on in the world around him was when salespeople came in the yard. That's the only way he knew how to change his prices. So nowadays, if somebody can go on and digitally look what their price is on and talk to their current vendors or sellers, mills can get feedback from pricing at locations they've never had before. It's a winner for all, right?
That was the boss that just walked by, wasn't it?
One of them. Yes. All right. And I never want to go by without having a shameless plug for you. So Layman's Lumber Guide, Softwood Framing Lumber Market Briefing. Matt, how can people get a hold of you?
Just laymansguide.com. I've got, but I'd love for you just to take a 2-month free trial to see how those FDPs, the forecasted decision points, can help you with your timing. And And I insist that you take it for free for 2 months before I let you have the privilege of buying it.
Yeah, and Matt's report is great, but one thing too, when you I just want to tell people when they register at Materials Exchange, you need to fill out the whole registration. It doesn't take very long. That way, you get thrown into our leads and we get you onboarded. So appreciate that, Matt. Thank you very much. Thanks for
You too,
coming
Ash.
on this day, January 6th. We'll look forward to doing this again next week.
You guys have a great year out there. See you next week.
You bet. Bye.